anybody. So I'm going to get fact checked on this.
You know, the thing is, he worked really hard to make sure his microphone was working before we.
Just so I could go the blues.
Hi, welcome to Eugene and Dylan's Guitar Show. I'm Eugene Edwards over here. That's Dr. Dylan Caligiuri right over there, and we appreciate you for letting us into your homes, or at least into your digital devices, wherever you may be storing them. And we're gonna do a little. We're gonna highlight Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by the AC/DC.
By the AC/DC.
Yeah. And so it was Dylan's choice because he happens to know the solo.
Well, there were some recommendations,
but people had thrown it in there. So first things we have to talk about here.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Power chords.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, and to discuss AC/DC is to discuss Malcolm Young, who basically was the older brother who really wrote all the riffs.
He did.
And mostly, a first position guy, an open position guy.
Yeah. But he's a jangly player. If you watch him play.
And Gretsch,
there's a lot of...
Well, it's because tempo.
Well, it sort of reminds me of one of those wind-up,
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little in the back. Yeah. And then Angus, meanwhile, is doing his lead thing in the schoolboy outfit. But gotta love, God bless Malcolm Young, just kind of standing in one spot to the right of the drums.
Yeah.
And just holding the fort. And the more I listen to AC/DC, and the more I watch vintage footage of them, my eye keeps getting drawn to stage right, the one guy who's not trying to be part of the show at all, and my eye gravitates to that guy. Like, but he's just over there counting his money.
He's over there.
He's moving.
There's a lot of...
So a power chord is when you just play the root and the fifth of a scale together.
Yeah.
So if you were playing E power chord, there's the root, and there's the... Hey, what camera am I looking at?
We could find out if they're focused. You'd be number 2 or 3. You'd be number 3. You want to play that? You want to play?
No. What camera am I speaking to?
Oh, you're in that one right there, right straight in front of you.
The one that's closest
the
to
light,
the one furthest back.
That light. Yeah.
That right there?
Yeah.
All right. I just realized I think I was looking at the wrong camera the whole time. They should we should have a blind anchor man, and that would solve that, because then it would just, and then the news today, and it wouldn't really matter, and that would be a little...
Who did what?
It was just to...
we're already close to that.
Me not knowing. We're close to that.
We're close to that now.
So you play the root and the fifth, right there. And sometimes you play the... Now here's the thing about power chords.
Yeah.
Root, fifth, no third.
Yeah.
No third. So...
They're androgynous that way.
Yeah, it's neither happy nor sad.
Yeah.
So we get...
They're the millennials chord or the Gen Z chord.
Right. Yeah. So check out the basis of Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap to me is this right here. This E, then G, E, A, E, D, E.
Sorry.
Pretty darn simple.
Get carried away.
But cool. This has a bit of call and response to it. The call is the E chord. The response is the G, A, and D, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It kind of has that structure.
When everybody thinks of AC/DC, they think guitars, but this is really actually a drummer band.
We'll get to that because once the lyrics start, there's this drums and vocals, really. Drums and vocals. Drums and vocals. And the drum... Yeah, you're right. Phil,
it's a drummer thing. This is a drummer band. This is a band about a drummer.
So, no, it's still about guitars.
Well, I mean, the guitars are important, but what locks this band in? If it's this song... By the way,
drums they run through the whole thing like
you guys have heard this thing
right.
at Guitar Center a couple 100,000 times, and what makes it sound good is if people can space the timing out correctly. So even that if that has the correct
he's there to catch.
Then now you're like, now I think you can play.
All right, good point, excellent point.
That's all. No big deal.
Give some to the drummers, as the Reverend James Brown would once say. So with the power chords, now, a bit of a power chord story here.
Sure.
Last month I did a session, okay, which I'm pretty sure I can't really say too much about. But what it was we were replacing all the instruments around some recordings. So only the vocalist was to remain, and we had to replace all the instruments around it. Pretty tough because there was no click, and a lot of this was live stuff, and it was a bit of a haul. But at one point, in the bridge of one song, the band seemingly plays a C sharp minor.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the 1. And 2 minor. And then it sounds like they do a C sharp dominant 7. Then they go back to the 1. So it was like, wait a minute.
They're going to create an international incidente.
Did the band make an error on one of those times? And which one are we supposed to commit to? And the original band members are not around. We don't have charts, nothing. So the piano player
They deliberately left that out of their will.
Right. So the piano player and I we made a passive aggressive musical decision, and we just played C sharp power chord
all the way through.
No, because it was just in the bridge. The C sharp it happens once. It's a C sharp minor, then they go back and it's a C sharp dominant 7, and we didn't know. Was it supposed to be minor?
I
then
feel like
not
they
minor?
just didn't.
Or we didn't know. And we knew that there would be background vocals added to this that were going to do some sort of movement.
Well, those would have to spell it out.
And so we decided we're just going to play C sharp minor power chord.
Oh, I see your point.
And we left the third out both times.
So it's a C sharp power chord.
We'll let the singers decide.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I actually went back yesterday to finish off to beef up some parts, and the vocals are doing this total Beach Boy swirly.
Yeah, that way
thing.
you don't have a crying game when the third comes out later on.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
You don't get
no surprises is what he means. No surprises
for anybody under 50, I guess. I'm not
whoever
sure.
Saw the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. Well,
is that?
It's a great movie. Great movie.
It's fine. You know, it's only the end that's gonna. Okay, you know.
No, it's not at the end.
Oh, you're right.
It happens early in the film. That's what's brilliant about it.
That's just how long it's been.
So, but back to power chords. Now, here's another interesting thing about power chords, if I may. With vocal harmonies, I ask you, why don't fifths work as well, like in vocals? To my ear,
yeah,
it's kind of it's not always the best if the lead vocalist is singing an E natural. The harmonist singer is rarely going to come and sing that.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're almost indiscernible from an octave. They're the next nearest.
Because it's such a
most stable interval.
It's a stable interval.
And if they're not perfectly intonated, it sounds like you're playing out of tune. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or anything close to that. I mean, even just microtonally, not so. Whereas the third, the third is a very unstable interval,
right?
So it's something where if you're not perfectly intonating a third, nobody, less concern regarding that.
Take a minute. Hello, Jim in Long Island.
Hey, Jim, Long Island.
Marilee
oh yeah, sorry.
Oregon.
Let's see. What do we
Eric
got here?
L.
What do we got going on over there?
By the way. No, I was going to address this. Thank you, Eric L. And hello, Henry in Connecticut. I decided to just go with water today.
Yeah.
Just good old nature's fruit juice, water right there. I didn't even try
to cut back.
Although the temperature's gone down here in LA, so we probably could have gotten away with it without any electrical mishaps, but I figured, hey, why take the chance? So okay, so Dirty Deeds, Thunder Cheap. So we got the main riff. Go back to you.
Back to work. Yeah. Let's see here. So let's see. So we'll take it from the verse. So 1, 2, 1, 2.
Go to your camera.
Let's see if it's in.
Nope. That camera's not.
Try 3.
That's you. There you go.
Oh, it's beautiful. Look
yeah,
at that.
Good,
it's perfect.
Good.
It's gorgeous. 1, 2, verse 1, 2. I'm social call to and dirty deeds done dirt cheap deeds and they're done dirt cheap. You're gonna go to A, right? 2, 3, 4, or is it B? 2, 3. something close to that.
Something
you
close
know?
to that. Okay.
And so
tell us what's going on there in that song. Sorry, we were a bit sloppy there because we're kind of just wanting to get to the nuts and bolts of the solo because there's a couple of cool things happening, obviously. So Dylan, back to you, man.
So this deal, he doesn't. I don't think he actually picks again at all.
His right hand, he just has a cup
he's
of
like
tea.
pointing at people in the audience or
pointing
whatever.
at people's cool.
But I want to tell you guys something. So the way to get this to sound out without having to repick is to have your guitar be so microphonic that it's already feeding back as soon as you stop playing it, basically.
Okay.
And that's how those guys were running with their guitars. If they didn't have their guitars turned down, and eventually all their techs had pedals, kill pedals, basically, that in between songs and stuff like that.
So it won't be shrieking and feeding back.
Yeah, and they were just real fast on the volume knob,
Right.
like we
So
are. But,
obviously, it's a Gibson SG going to the Marshall, which is essentially how you get this. That's it. Yeah, and just tube compression doing this magic.
And yeah, I think those channels are jumped and stuff like that too.
Sure.
So the kind of two significant licks on this are going to be this is the really most important lick is this guy.
I think that's the one everyone wants to hear. So I'm gonna go back.
So
frets and fingers for the people.
7, 8 times at each fret. And then once you get to the starts doing twice. And that's it. So you start at 4 and 7, work your way all the way up to
so 7-4 open.
Yeah. And it's 8 times. By the way, this is not a difficult technique. This is something you can learn how to do.
A good old pull off.
Yeah, it's like you're flicking away I don't know, a bug or something like that.
Okay.
It's literally not. It's not something that's unnatural at all. So when you're doing that, if that's something that's really difficult for you, what I would do is start by using a metronome or anything. You could just get yourself in a pulse and make sure you snap down and away. And the real key is when not on that restrike.
Yeah.
Is to use the bone part of your finger.
Okay.
There's noise gates on our guitars, so it's even more challenging.
Yeah.
So then when you go to this song later, it's really the same technique, right? It's going to be as long as you have that technique down, it's not that tricky actually.
No, but what's hip about it is that he does it kind of just ignoring whatever the chord changes are. Obviously, he starts with an E major triad.
Yeah.
That's B, G sharp, and E. Over an E chord.
And then he just works chromatically. Well, this part is just E the whole time.
Oh, that's
By
right.
then it's just...
And then... No, I'm pretty good. So even though I played a G to E, A to E, D to E,
He doesn't care.
It doesn't matter over here.
He's
But that's kind of what's cool. But that's kind of what's cool about it is that it's just kind of it's almost like something's just gotten out of control. It's a trait. It's a freight train, if you will.
And he's playing you're playing the progression behind that.
He does.
Okay, yeah. So,
he does. He does do it.
All the laws are broken here.
Just ignores it. Just
courageous.
Courageous.
Truly courageous.
Not all heroes wear capes, but some of them wear school uniforms.
Yeah. Let's also talk. Have you guys seen the latest stuff? I see videos of him recently, like getting on the subway. You know, now that everybody has a camera on their phone, I mean, every like possible thing is
candid.
Yeah. But it's like and you know, like I think a lot of people in Scotland and in the UK in general are just kind of like they're really cool people to be around. Not that the people here aren't cool to be around, but you know, you're like, hey, we've cool.
We've enjoyed going to those places.
But they're really cool people to be around, and you can tell this guy would be a lot of fun to hang out with, just merely by.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I like to think it would be. Yeah.
Or at least that's my idea. But for people, there's a lot of young people that don't think maybe, I don't know, Jimmy Page is as astounding as he is, or Angus Young, and it's like, I don't know. I would say these people are actually wildly impressive guitar players when you really get down to it. They're really quite phenomenal.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was pushback against these guys as guitar players, although things are always cyclical. So
in the light of new
players,
music,
bands, music fall out of favor, then they come back. Sometimes we overpraise, then we underpraise.
Right.
We're always adjusting the salt.
Seems like Jimi Hendrix is completely never is immune from that entire
Yeah,
cycle.
it's a pretty consistent thing,
Yeah.
I think. But with Angus, there's hallmarks of his playing. We've talked about this before. One of my favorite, and then this actually, especially the solo to "You Shook Me All Night Long." Which that could. Have we already done that?
You want to do it?
No. We went. But the point is, there's aspects of that guitar solo that really remind me of some of country music or country guitar playing. But one of the things he does, I think, is really significant, is he'll do this full step bend, and once he reaches pitch at the top of the bend, then he adds vibrato.
Yeah,
which is
it's kind of a country thing in a way too.
It's difficult to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old blues thing. There's footage of Clapton, very late era Cream. He's got the psychedelic painted SG, and I think he's asked about some blues techniques that he uses
from Guitar Gently Weeps or
no.
From Cream.
He's in the band
This
Cream.
is pre-Guitar Gently Weeps.
And he mentions this. He talks about actually one of the. He says, this is the hardest thing. To bend, reach your proper pitch, then give it a shake, which of course is very similar to what a human voice does.
Yeah, to the way you would do vibrato.
Angus does this all the time, and it's one of those things. If you want to like do an Angus Young style solo,
right?
It kind of doesn't matter what scale you play, really. Ignore the changes, play the changes, do what you want. But if you can do a full stop bend, like a whole tone bend, and then give it the vibrato in a real nice, clean way, that is something that's kind of like it just has that hint of him.
Well, so Angus Young. When you're analyzing somebody's solos like Angus Young, you actually realize that, okay, he's a tactician. So this person was really, really, really hardcore in the studio about things cutting off and starting at the correct time.
His note length.
The timing is always perfect on everything.
In fact, in this solo, you mentioned he just stops at one point.
He does. He just kind of stops.
Where's that? So like 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. And then there's just silence for like 2 bars.
Silence from him.
Yeah.
Drums, rhythm. The band is just cruising, man.
Right.
And he just doesn't play.
And he does some rhythmic stuff for a second, and then finally there's that.
So by the way, put space in your solos. Don't be afraid to just stop playing. Even for full measure, that'll get people's attention. It got ours. And then there's a pattern here. You talk about patterns a lot, like when you practice your scales. It's one thing to practice like just the major scale, but then adding a certain sort of pattern to it, whether you play root, scale tone, go back to root.
Sure. Yeah.
That sort of thing.
The stuff that makes Bach happy.
That does make
no big deal.
But this one is it's like kind of a minor pentatonic over the B from 7th position.
You could do this with any scale. It's easiest with this scale. So it's
that's true.
I think, let's see, I'd call this like, so this would be like seconds, just descending. Yeah, because it's second down, second up, second down, second down.
I'm sorry, I'm confused with why you're saying seconds, because they're not not intervals.
In a regular
seconds.
scale, they'd be seconds. In this, it's like, I guess it's just 2 notes down, 2 notes up. So
it's fret, on the high E string, it's frets 10, 7. And then it's fret 10 on the B string.
Yeah.
And then back to fret
back
7
to
on
7.
the... Go slowly. So
hit that camera. I'll do it slow. I'll do it slow. So... And that has to be... You really can't pick that. If you can pick it, you're going to be a really good picker. So it's going to be... Those 2 notes you can pick.
That's the first... And then he's going to basically...
That's called the sequence. Now we have repetitions.
Right. But that means he makes the same move, but this time he's going to start on the B string, fret 10 to 7.
That's right.
I'm going to beg you to do a frets fingers style run through of that for everyone now.
Yeah. So
Please.
You have 10, pull off to 7, 10 on the 2nd string, back to 7, 10, pull off to 7. That's the full
on the
sequence.
B string.
Yeah.
And then that
repeats from there.
And now this time, and then once he gets to he starts it on the G string. It's frets 9, 7.
And the key here would be know the pentatonic scale in the seventh position
There you
really
go.
well.
So he's
It's
combining
going to be really hard
that
if you don't.
repetition with the pentatonic
Yeah,
scale.
and no notes deviate from the pentatonic scale at all.
Gotcha.
That's the good news.
Okay, so run it kind of mid-tempo if you don't mind. That's in so much hard rock solos do that sort of thing.
It's like, you guys.
Sweet Child of Mine infamously has a really interesting.
It's actually the reverse of that exact.
Is it really?
Yeah. And then, but you could do this with any scale.
Well, that's what I'm working towards. Please.
Yeah.
The
so
floor is yours.
The idea of a sequence is that it's a model or like an algorithmic model, right? That you repeat through a set. So the set is the scale, meaning if it's 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. The set is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are.
Yep.
So if we say the set is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and we use that same scale we did, it would be. Over here. That's the same thing. Yeah.
So take something like this.
Yeah.
Start slow. So
That's
you
probably a
really
good
have the
idea.
sequence down, right? And you can come up with your own. That's the fun thing. You can kind of come up with your own. It's like a sewing pattern, or or setting up dominoes. You can just come up with your own. But start slowly, because what do we say? Slow is smooth. Smooth becomes fast. This is also sets and reps to build music muscles, Eric L. says. This is now you're talking Dylan's language.
Yeah.
You know? And you're right. Greg Simple says AC/DC. Not many great rock bands like them anymore.
No.
There's several reasons for that, by the way. There's like technology, social, economic reasons.
Just this scarcity issue. So there used to be a barrier to entry that a third party had control over. Now everybody can do it, which means there's just less.
In the case of AC/DC, their oldest brother, because they had tons of kids.
Yeah.
And they were originally from England, but when they were all young, the family moved to Australia. But one of them forms a great band called the Easy Beats, one of the greatest singles of all time.
Yeah.
Friday on My Mind. That's an
Great
insane
song.
song.
Yeah. It's really good.
Incredible arrangement, great guitar playing. So these young brothers,
Well, you know.
they saw their oldest brother, like teenage girls were like swarming the neighborhood to see, and so these younger was like, well, maybe we should do that too. You know what I mean? They just talk about seeing pattern recognition.
Right.
It was just like, well, then I guess we'll make a band. And they got on it early. And they kind of figured it out. Then you get an X factor like the great Bon Scott, like a great front man. By the way, back to Angus Young being a great technician.
I want to talk about showmanship.
Studio,
We got to talk
but in
about
the showmanship, not just the schoolboy uniform, but just the jumping up on Bon's shoulders and playing these solos like the record, while just doing the craziest physical stuff, like jumping around, like while riding on someone's shoulders, spinning around on the ground.
Whose parents got mad at this album for having the horns on it?
Yeah, just a good old pair of horns.
I used to have to argue to be able to keep these out on a regular basis. The razor's edge, why does it have to be a razor? I don't know. It's a razor.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a razor either. I wish it was a Care Bear, but it's a razor.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be
razor's
funny
edge.
if they had a Care Bear on the
Care
cover?
Bear's edge, yeah.
At that point, but we can't. You don't hear the record cover, the album cover. You know, you hear the music and
Just throw me something in the liner notes like we did it for Jesus every now and then. That's all I'm asking for.
You could have helped us out.
Yeah, like I wouldn't. A lot of records would have been kept. That's all.
A few bullet points for the debate.
Yeah.
At the dinner table.
That's all.
Would be nice.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
But so anyway, so I hope you're enjoying this. It seems like we're really straying from the topic. But now one more thing about this. This E power chord that Malcolm plays at the beginning. This. Now, as you're looking at my fret hand, it certainly looks like I'm playing an E major chord because you see my index finger right here at the first fret.
But that's a lie.
I'm actually muting. So I'm touching the G string, yes, but I'm not pressing it into the fingerboard that way because as Dylan pointed out, you know, Malcolm's just hitting all 6 strings. He's doing this.
He's like more worried about a tambourine effect than anything else.
Because it's a percussive thing.
Yeah.
He's worth the rhythm of the riff, which is huge. Back to the drummer thing.
Yeah.
So that's when. Now I swear, if you listen to the record, Winnie the when they get to that part, it sounds like I do hear the major third. I feel like I hear that G sharp, that G.
I think it is there.
Completes it there. But another thing I think that one can do when you're playing this sort of power chord is you can also just use your ring finger, which is playing 2nd fret D string.
Yeah.
The tip of that can also mute the G. So you can not worry about your index finger so much handling, but the idea here is that you really hit this power chord, and even though I'm hitting 5 strings, I'm only playing the notes of E natural, B natural, E natural, B natural, E natural. So it's still just the root and the fifth, just on several strings.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he does it. He does something similar in the lift to the chorus. This. But what's cool about that is the D power chord at the 5th fret. So that's fret 5 on the A string and then 7 on the D and G. And he's just muting the other 3 strings. So you just hear those 3 strings. But when he goes up 2 frets to play the E power chord, he now hits all 6. He hits the low E.
And every time, by the way.
That's when you said the jangly thing.
Yeah.
There's a 12-string effect because he's got a double of the B natural and the E natural.
And he's playing a hollow body, too, so on top of everything else.
So it's kind of has a lot of fret hand muting. Ends up being a huge thing, especially in rock playing.
Yeah. Because
a lot of our rock players are just going across all strings all the time. In fact, when he plays the G power chord, I'm really just playing 3rd fret low E.
Yeah.
And that middle finger is muting.
It's like rocker G.
A.
We call that rocker G.
It's a rocker G.
Yeah, something you can spit and play.
And also, the ring finger is playing 3rd fret B string, and then we're not hearing the E string at all. That's getting muted. So we're still just hearing root, 5th, root, 5th. No B natural, no thirds, basically.
There was discipline here. It's consistent. So you guys will notice this. If you record something, how hard it is to play exactly the same thing you did.
I did this yesterday
every
for 3
single
hours.
time.
You know what? Can you double that rhythm pass just to make it a little fatter? Yes.
Yeah. Maybe.
I need to hear it again.
But let me go home and come back to... No, you know what I mean?
No, it's just like I'm going to have to... Because I don't know if I really remember...
Yeah.
Because by then we had chord charts on this session I'm talking about.
Right.
But the chord chart doesn't tell me where did I play an E major.
Just any minute detail of the playing, really.
Did I play a C shape? Was it here? Was it here?
And
did I play
you think of these recordings, they're layers. And so you have all these things layered up, and the way you create emotional energy is when you have a space and all those layers or some of the layers disappear. So some of the drums go away, some of the vocals, some of the guitars, whatever, but they have to disappear at exactly the same time and reappear
for them to have power.
Yeah, and so it's something that is really apparent on a recording and not as apparent live.
On this particular record, I think the best example of that is at the very end of the guitar solo, which, by the way, to start the guitar solo on the 5 chord, which we haven't heard yet in the song.
Yeah, finally, the lift. The lift is the 5. Yeah.
We haven't heard the 5, so you feel like something's coming, right? It's the 5 chord. It has that emotional energy of anticipation.
Yeah.
So hip to start on the 5 chord, which we haven't heard yet in the song.
Yeah.
And then what happened? What we're building to something. Guess what we're building to?
That's it.
Stop that.
And then it goes back to... Yeah, it goes back into a...
But I'm just saying, the energy that they create there is really, really powerful.
It really is,
It's all happening in concert. So, yeah. John Scholl says, my mom tore up the Guns N' Roses...
We should do an entire Guns N' Roses month.
Wait. With the liner notes. And the kicker is it wasn't mine.
Oh, God.
Great. Awesome.
Not only am I out a copy of Lies, which, by the way, in this point in time, was a big deal. Okay?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You realized you had to save money, walk down to the store, you got it.
Apparently hide it from mom.
And then it's not even mine. I borrowed it from Melvin.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
But then you got to go back to Melvin and say, he's like, hey, you done with my copy of Lies? I'm not, but my mother is.
I was hoping they could.
And your mom.
Yeah, she's actually permanently done with it.
I gotta, and Melvin's like, why did your mom even learn how to read? This is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, well, and like the first album, like the Appetite for Destruction has a a rather graphic
Oh, sure. Yeah,
drawing
the Robert
inside
Williams,
that I
yeah.
was like, no. Nope. Do you
know-
want me to
you
throw
know
it
what
away or do you want to
this
throw
is
it away?
why This is why to this day you go to the thrift store and there's tons of Captain and Tennille albums. Dan Fogelberg.
Yeah. Oh, Dan
Mantovani.
Fogelberg, but just the hand holding the.
And so you just put the LP in there and
Yeah.
just like, oh no, he's really into
Yeah.
Vicki Lawrence.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Well, you know,
And then
he's
headphones,
into
use
American
headphones.
popular
we
music.
probably all have stories of records we had to hide.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky. My parents, well, first of all, they were really young when they had me. And
You're progressive.
and they were hip, and
Yeah.
and the band when I was 5 years old, the big band for me was Kiss because my older
Yeah.
cousins were into them.
Me too. I really
It's in the
loved
70s,
Kiss.
right? Now back to again for that band,
Yeah.
no cell phones, no footage of them walking down the street when they're not in makeup. So they
Right.
kind of they chose their
They actually look less scary in the makeup.
They do.
You know?
So, but like my parents allowed it. But then I had school friends who we would talk about what bands are you into, and I'd mention Kiss, and they're like, "Do your parents let you?"
I thought Kiss's music really wasn't.
Oh, it was really tame.
It was tame.
I listen to it now, and it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some of the stuff that has not aged well, like Christine 16. But people just finding just cheap rhymes, basically. But musically, it's really more like glam power pop.
Yeah,
more than it is any of the darker metal stuff.
And by the way, we should talk about the controversy of Alive 3 someday.
Oh, but the word alive is in the title.
Yeah.
You mean? I think Alive 2 definitely have some overdubs.
I really want to know. Maybe we can get
hearing,
Gene to comment.
Well, Gene said he had Steve Lukather played a bunch of stuff.
It sounds
Ace
like
was
it.
too drunk and
Yeah.
No, they replaced. By the way, sorry folks, but the vast majority of those live albums from the 70s
were not, in fact, live.
You know,
because you notice when you do hear something live, when you hear some footage from the 70s or what age, you notice how bad the audio is.
Sure.
It would be very hard. They just couldn't capture audio that well
and
live.
then you make it airs like, well, one guy was off on his harmony part. Let's just replace it with harmony because everyone else kicked butt.
And now you
that
may as well
night.
do everything.
Fine, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, we're past the hour there. My folks were horrified by the Kiss Alive color, the first Kiss Alive cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hip. And I don't know if that was on a sound stage, but then the inner sleeve with or the back one, right, with all the fans with the stadium. I think that's Cobo Hall in Detroit.
Nothing was worse than the Dio albums. The Dio albums.
Well, at some point, these artists were really.
They're trying to outdo each other.
Yeah, I think so.
What's the most family offensive thing I can come up? Wasp, maybe.
That was my next. Yeah, exactly. But we lived through the PMRC, the Satan scare of the '80s and stuff like that. So that was kind of like, yeah. And now it all just seems kind of so quaint to me. But I don't want to wade into too much of that.
No, but I mean, it's really fun to remember because it was a big part of the way we heard and thought about music, about whether or not it was taboo or not.
Tell you what, power chords. Without that third, I don't know.
Thin Lizzy, I love it. We should do Thin Lizzy too.
Oh, there's one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's what I want to do too.
How's that for a power chord with the fifth?
Yeah, that's called an inverted power chord.
It's an inverted power chord. It's a third inversion power chord. Yes.
Yeah.
Huh, funky. Maybe boys are. But I'll tell you what. Next week, we are going to do a little bit of a highlight on a song that was just released about a week ago.
Yep.
And
big one next week.
Hopefully. And so I'm going to show you the parts I played and how they were developed on the song "Just Don't Know How to Say Goodbye" by Dwight Yoakam and Post Malone. So stick around next week for that one. Until now, by the way, if you want to send us your email, come up with a fresh one if you want. We're going to start sending a newsletter about once or twice a week here and let you know what's going on with us, what's going on with the show, and also some things that we're going to start offering as the months roll by here in the fall. So drop us a line. The link is in the little description of the show there. Send us an email, and you'll start getting nice little inside stuff there for it.
Yeah, make sure you join. And then on the 18th, we start the Till class back up. So if you're interested in taking the Till class with me and Eugene, we start on the 18th, right after the show. We'd actually be starting right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
And that's next week.
I was going to say
that's next
week. By the
week.
way.
So next week, join us on Till. Grab the The link is in is in the description of the video.
Sign up. We have some cool stuff. Now with that till class, there's PDFs we make available. That way, when we're done with the till class, you can still practice on the things and get to take things with you. So it's a really hip thing, and we have great testimonials from people. So we'll see you there. But
make sure you guys join and subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot, and make sure you join the email list. Just so we promise only to send you about 5-6 emails a day asking for money for your favorite candidate. That's all. No big deal.
We had a meeting about that.
Oh, so we're going to do less?
That was the thing. We
scratched all this.
That
Okay,
off the
I
list
got it.
of stuff we are going to do. Yeah.
Smell the glove. Smile down.
for instance, yeah. All right. Our comment section is just going to be memories of like, oh my God, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And
let's go out on an A for AC/DC today. So if you had a good time, clap for us and give us an A.
If you have a guitar in your hands, you need an A power chord.
That's right.
No thirds allowed.
Give us a keyboard A if you don't have a guitar in your hands.
Minor or major. Just a big A for AC/DC. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess that's the count of 4. Sorry. 1, 2. Sorry. We'll do this again. On the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you guys. Have a great day. It's a good thing we rehearsed that.